Good morning. It's great to be here. Mind, at my age, frankly, it's great to be anywhere. I told my wife that I was speaking at the Wired conference, and I said, very trendy, very, very trendy. I said, it's going to be full of guys in skinny jeans and check shirts, and cool-looking women. And I said, what shall I wear? Shall I get a pair of skinny jeans and checky shirt? She said, you'd look stupid. I said, well, I don't have time to grow a beard. It's like Hoxton, and there's a few in the room, really nice ones. Very well manicured beards. I said, I haven't got time to grow a beard. How about some stubble? Just a bit of manly stubble. She said, I just look like the district nurse hasn't been. I'm not as bright as JP, so I can only talk about three things. There's only three things I want to talk to you about over the course of the next 10 minutes or so. And how many of you have started a business? How many of you started a business? Quite a lot of you. How many of you would like to start a business? Almost the rest of you. And how many of you are involved in digital or apps? Okay. So, as David said, my business is banking. I'm not a banker by background. I'm a marketer by background, but my business is banking. And we created, in the UK, the first bank that is delivered through mobile devices, designed to be delivered first and foremost through mobile devices. But what I want to talk about, just three general points which I think apply when thinking about banking or when thinking about really any digital business. And I just want to share them with you. And the first is about purpose. The second is about trust. And I was really pleased to hear what JP said. And hopefully what I'm going to talk about will build a little bit upon that. And then the third thing I want to talk about is innovation. So that's all I can remember, three things. So the first one is about purpose. I have a sense, kind of I look around at what's going on in the digital world, that there are lots of solutions out there desperately trying to find problems to solve. And I was talking to Mark Mullen, who's the brilliant chief exec of Atom, about this. And he said it's a little bit like an ad for, would like to meet. Don't know whether this translates into other languages, but it's basically hip young dudes in Hoxton going, we've got a brilliant idea. We'd like to meet some really rich people with lots of money to help us develop this and turn this into a unicorn. Mark's line was absolutely brilliant, which is a good sense of humor, absolutely essential. I think there are a lot of businesses who have not yet established what their purpose is. So who thinks that the purpose of business is to make money? Who thinks that they're in business to make money? So don't be shy. It's all right. I'd say a fifth of you, roughly. I fundamentally disagree with you. Fundamentally disagree. I'll disagree with the rest of you later, but I'll start by disagreeing with you. I think that the purpose of business should be to give your customer a better product or a better service or a better experience. It should be give your customer a better product or a better service or a better experience. And if you do that well, and you manage your business well, you will make a profit. But I really think that it needs to be that way around. So the first thing, and we spent months and months before we even talked about what the structure of Atom Bank would be, talk about what was our purpose. And we refined it to this. It's about redefining your everyday relationship with money. Because as Bill Gates famously said 20-odd years ago now, nobody needs banks, they just need banking. So it's about being really clear what is the purpose one serves. And our purpose is to redefine our customers' relationship with their money. Don't talk about banking, we talk about you and your money. But what are we? Are we a bank? Well, we chose the route to become regulated and authorized as a bank with all of the issues and challenges that come with that. It's very expensive to be a bank. We've raised approaching £150 million. The amount of regulatory capital we have to hold is very high. And there was an argument for saying we could just be a skin. Brett's done this very successfully in America with Moven, whereby if you want to place a deposit, it goes through the skin, the agent into a regulated bank. If you're on loan, it comes out through the skin. But really, we believe that the long-term value lies in leveraging that balance sheet. So we are a bank. But I could make an equally compelling argument that we are in the data business. When banks started, and again JP referred to it back in the 1500s in Italy, money was physical. It started out as coins, gold, silver, bronze. Then it became promissory notes, it became paper, but which is still very physical. And that's why banks existed. They were formal, strong institutions which would keep that physical money safe and transfer it from one part of the country to another, from one person to another person. Today, money is digital. So the very rationale that underpinned banks originally has gone away. And we're in the business of data. Money is data, but more importantly, it's the data about you, which will enable us to better understand you with your permission and then predict into the future what your needs with money are going to be. So first challenge is purpose. How clearly defined is your purpose? The second, and it was interesting, although I know JP, I hadn't spoken to him before today, I didn't know he was going to talk about trust. Is this issue of trust? And it's a real conundrum because people say, I don't trust my bank. And then banks produce realms and realms of research which says, oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do trust us. Look, it says here, 92% of you trust us. Well, I want to dig into that just a little bit. So first of all, who trusts their bank? I would say 2/3 of you. I assume the ones who haven't put their hands up work for a bank. So about 2/3 of you say you trust your bank. Do the other third of you not trust your bank? Or are you just getting out the rain? Yeah, probably about that. Psychology tells us there are two types of trust. There is cognitive trust and there is associative trust. Cognitive trust is about competence. Do I trust you to do what you say you do? So do I trust you as a bank to keep my money safe? And I think the answer is generally yes. Anybody not trust their bank to keep their money safe? Four hands at the back. But most of us would trust our bank to keep money safe. So in terms of cognitive trust, we trust our banks. The second is associative trust, which is about intention, which is, do I trust you, my bank, to have my interests first and above your interests? So on that basis, who of you trust their bank to have your interests first and the bank's interests second? One person. So I think this is the issue about trust. And as a new business, you have to tackle both things because you have no track record. So the first thing is, do people trust you'll do what you say you will? We're a digital bank. Do people trust us that we can do everything we say that we can do that a normal high street bank could do? That's the first thing. The second thing is, do they trust our intentions? Do people trust us that when we say we're about redefining your relationship with your money, that we really put you first, that we do that? That's the second one. So which brings me on really to the last point I want to make, which is about innovation. Again, there are two types of innovation. So the first type is momentum innovation. So that is taking something that exists and making it better, innovating it, changing it in some way. And the second type of innovation is disruptive. It is category changing. Okay? So how many of you are involved in momentum disruption? A few? How many of you are involved in, momentum innovation, I beg your pardon. How many of you are involved in disruptive innovation? Well, that in itself brings a challenge. I guess most of you will be familiar with this quote from Henry Ford. Well, what's interesting about it is Henry Ford never actually said this. It is attributed to him, but there is no record of Henry Ford actually saying this. But the challenge that Henry Ford had as a disruptive innovator was this: his competition. So on the left is a Model T Ford, on the right is a horse. Model T Ford had a top speed of 44 miles an hour, which coincidentally, purely coincidentally, is as fast as a fast horse can run. Model T Ford had a range of about 120, 125 miles. And there are breeds of horses, endurance horses, that can do that on a daily basis. So the Model T Ford produced 25 brake horsepower. How many horsepower does a horse produce? Any guesses? Sorry? 5. 15. Horse produces 15 horsepower. Figure that one out. So you go, well, not much in it, frankly. But then you could put 2 or 3 or 4 horses together and pull a wagon. You could take a horse up a steep hill, gravelly hill, that you couldn't take a Model T Ford up. You could cross a river on a horse that you couldn't cross in a Model T Ford. So, how disruptive was a Model T Ford? Well, at the time, the answer is not much. But then, if you take it forward slightly, what would you rather have today for a long journey? Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a Tesla. Other cars are available. But the point is that in a very short period of time, automotive transport has gone from being about the same as a horse, frankly, to something incredibly different. That car, I think, will produce about 350 brake horsepower. Its range is in effect limitless because of the ability to charge it and just keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. And the various types of cars that now exist are such that there is no terrain in which now a car would not be substantially better than a horse. So I think the challenge for disruptors is having people understand that it is actually disruptive. And I think we have the same challenge in banking. Because today people are going, well, what are you doing that's different? And the answer is, well, not much. You want to draw out some money, you can draw out some money with us, you can draw out some money with a traditional bank. You want a loan, you can go to a traditional bank and come to us. The future is going to be, as JP alluded to, is in the ability to recognize data for what it is, which is both money, because money is now data, and the data that enables you to improve people's lives. One of the things we're doing, so it's just a quick roadmap on where we are. We've raised about £150 million. We're authorised by the UK regulator. We're live in the UK market. We have deposit account, we have business lending, and over the course of the next 6 months we will have current accounts and mortgages, and by the early part of next year we'll have a full range of products that a normal bank would have. But you go, well, how disruptive is that? And the answer is, well, actually not very much. The disruption's is going to come over the next 1 or 2 years. This is just a quick screen grab of something we play with, which is the ability to look at, this is just on a savings account, same will apply to a current account, which is every bank sends you a physical record of your last month's transactions. We'll send you a bank statement for next month, and the month after, and the month after. Because the more we get to know about you, the more we get to know about your spending habits, when your salary comes in, when your payments go out, when you go on holiday, when your insurance comes up for renewal, when your kids' school fees come up or whatever, we can change that. And we can also be quite intuitive, which you'll see this. See how that's switched there? So if you are right-handed, you would do everything with your right thumb. But if you're left-handed, you would switch it to your left thumb. So once we know about you, you can set this up in a way that works for you, that is personal to you. This is a quote that came from Henry Ford. And I think in some respects, the revolution has begun. There is a whole new breed of bank entrants that are not talking about banking. They're talking about their customers. They're talking about how they can make their customers' lives better. And really, I'll just finish with the point that I made at the beginning, which is I think the purpose of business is to give your customer a better product or a better service or a better experience. The byproduct of that is making a profit. The using of the data should be to improve the customer's life, to give the customer a better product or service or experience, so that profit is a byproduct of it. Thank you very much.
He's actually the only banker I know who gets to hang out with will.i.am as well. So you've gone from building a branch-based bank, fairly conventional format, although innovating in the customer service level, in the opening hours, in the dog friendliness, to building a digital bank. What's been the hardest part of this? What were the challenges that maybe you thought you underestimated?
Well, I just need to take a second to explain why I did that. Why did I build a physical branch-based bank and then a digital mobile delivered bank? And it's because, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I'm a marketer, and all the market data told me back in 2007 that customer experience in physicality was important to people. So create a better customer experience, which is what Metrobank delivered. But go forward to 2012, and there was the most seismic shift in consumer data I've ever seen in 30 years of looking at financial data, from traditional banking to digital in general and to mobile in particular. So it was clear to me that the future is going to be mobile. And again, to pick up one of JP's points, whether it's this year or next year or 4 years, who knows? But the path is absolutely inviolate. We are on the direction towards mobile banking. So what was the most difficult thing about it? I guess we've got a fantastic team, 200 people up in Durham, and is just trying to stop them building a bank. Have them remember everything that we're doing starts and ends with the customer, and everything in between is just the administrative piece.
Was the relationship with the regulators a hindrance or a help?
It's the second time I've been around that particular block, and frankly, it was a little bit better because the process had improved. But it's not easy to start a bank, nor should it be. We are the custodians of people's money. The regulator has a responsibility to make sure that we are fit and proper people to do that we are properly capitalized, that we have appropriate systems, and that we have people with the experience and expertise to manage that business effectively.
Last question. If everything goes to plan, what's to stop one of the big players, the Deutsche Banks, the Barclays, saying, actually, Anthony's come on to something, why don't we just grab the ideas, use our bigger marketing reach, our bigger database of customers, and replicate it?
Because there are, in essence, three bits to it. There's a front end, which is a customer experience, the middleware that connects that to the plumbing, and the UK banks and my travels around the world have suggested pretty much every traditional bank's back office system is beyond bad. I mean, they are pigs of systems. You know, they are complete pigs. And there's an old joke in the UK, which is you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And they can create these lovely front ends, these lipsticky front ends, but they're still plugged into these pig of a back office systems.
A true disruptive innovator, Anthony Thomson, Atom Bank. Thank you.
Thank you.